Hello everyone. It is late night painting night with Twisted Gypsy, or as many of you know as Danelle. I'm working on getting my sound hooked up, so hopefully you can hear me. I am just kind of getting set up and I'll get started here in a second. I know it's a little late if you're joining me. I hope you don't have to work early like I do. But tonight I'm going to be doing some painting with you. I'm working with acrylics. Probably something I'm pretty good at. I've used to work for paint night. I teach people to paint all the time. So this is something I actually really enjoy doing. So I'm going to get started here in just a second. I'm just trying to get everything set up. You know, it always takes a while. So boom. Almost there. Almost there. Okay. So if you're jumping on, just let me know you're here. Say hi. Comment, like, sprinkle is what they say, whatever it is. But we're going to get started painting. I basically have this nice little canvas. It's nothing spectacular. I have a big glass plate that I like to use. I can use paper plates too, whatever floats your boat. I'm only working with 3 colors today: blue, white, and black. I'm using the Arteza Premium brand acrylics. I really like them, but they are pretty thick, so we're going to be using a lot of water. I always have a jar full of water ready to go. Also, make sure you have plenty of paper towels. And you're going to need your paint brushes. Now, technically, every painting I do can be done with just a couple brushes. It can be done with one big square tip brush, a medium brush. I prefer the square tip medium brush, but either one would work, and a small brush. Today I'm using this, it's like a mop brush, super soft bristled brush that I'm going to use to kind of blend some of my background with, but you don't have to use that. You can just use your square brush. I'm a late night painter. It really calms me down, gets me ready for bed. Usually it's quieter in the house. If any of you are painters, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're watching, just let me know you're here. Say hi, tell me where you're from. I'm going to start by just taking my paint and put it on my palette. If I can get it open, that's the trick. Just a dark blue, and I'm going to use quite a bit of blue, so I got quite a bit on there. This premium paint is pretty thick. I'm also going to put a little bit of black on there. All right. Let's see. A little bit of black. And white is a huge mixer. It's something that you're going to use a lot when you're painting with acrylics. It is probably the best paint for blending, and we're going to do a lot of blending. And actually, I might even do a little tiny bit of yellow. I wasn't going to, but I might kind of blend up a little bit of my background with just a little bit of yellow. So this is I'm kind of keeping up with my pattern for the past couple days. You have to excuse me, guys. I'm just not totally focused today. I'm going to keep up with the idea of working with the seascape, but this one's just going to be a little bit more fun. First thing I'm going to do is grab this big flat brush that I have here, square brush, dip it in my water, kind of wipe off some of that excess, maybe give my canvas a little bit of water bath. The reason I do this is because it helps the paint blend a little bit more smoothly on the canvas. It just makes that background a little bit easier to work with. Acrylics are great to work in layers with. It's one of the reasons I love to do acrylics, because you can just paint right over something. Once I got just a little bit of a water bath on it, I'm going to also dip it back in the water again, not too much, just a little bit, but only because only because this paint is super thick. And my background, I'm going to use blue. I'm going to pick up just a little bit of white. I want to make it a lighter blue, like that. Don't be afraid to make a mess and just kind of, doesn't even have to be fully blended. If you can see, I've got streaks and stuff in there. I want my sky part of my design, which I haven't even fully thought out, so we'll see what happens, to be very random. Very blue and shades of blue and shades of white, but I want it a little lighter, but I also want it to look like night. So I'm just kind of tapping like this, back and forth really fast. Acrylic can dry really quick, so I don't want to take a lot of time on this. I'm going to blend it out with that mop brush that I showed you. I'm just going to pick up some more colors, different shades, make it work really fast. Acrylics, I can finish a decent acrylic painting in, an hour, hour and a half. Sometimes even sooner, depending on what exactly and how detailed it's going to be. I always try to do my outsides so it gives it that rounded canvas look, that wrapped canvas, gallery canvas. So this is basically my sky. It might come down just a little bit more. I got thick, happy paint on my canvas. I mean, it's just nice and thick on there. But now I want to blend it out. When you're not using your brush, always put it in your water bucket so that your bristles don't dry up with that paint in there. I'm going to grab that mop brush, the one I showed you. If you don't have a mop brush, this will work with the other brush too. I just really like this one because it's got really soft bristles. So all I'm going to do is just kind of very lightly, little tiny circles, barely touching the canvas. It's like kissing the canvas. I'm just going to kind of little circles, kind of blending it all together, taking out those harsh lines. See how that's coming together? It already looks like a sky, doesn't it? Super fast, super quick. If you're just joining me, make sure you say hi. Let me know you're here. Like, I'm not supposed to use the S-H-A-R-E word. Facebook doesn't like it. So people say sprinkle. I like to say glitter. Glitter it. Working on building up that following. I haven't done so well lately, but I made a commitment to myself that I was going to be creative every single day, and I was going to share it with people. I no longer go around teaching people how to paint. I no longer have that as my job, so this is what I do now. I am also a realtor by day, so a lot of my clients end up with homemade gifts, be it paintings, be it something fun and crafty, something for their new houses. See how that looks? Isn't that cool? Super cool, right? We're just kind of blending it out a little bit, softening it up. Boom. Just like that. And honestly, that's all I'm doing to my background at this point in time. I might come in with just a little tiny bit of yellow. And when I say a little bit. And I'm just going to kind of blend it in, make it look more like a turquoise kind of background in there in certain areas, a little lighter. Yellow and blue make green, if you didn't know, so you got to be really careful not to overdo that. Just a little bit. And then if I'm still not entirely satisfied, I'm going to come bring just a little bit more blue over the top. Just kind of give it the idea of a background, and the bristles are coming out of my brush. Gotta love it. Hold on. Let me pull that piece of bristle hair out of there. Okay. And that'll happen with soft brushes. Sometimes those bristles will just come right out. I picked this one up at Hobby Lobby, and it's really not one I'm incredibly happy with, but it'll do. Kind of blending it out a little bit, making it look like a nice night. Here we go. What do you think of that? Not bad, huh? So quick, so easy. I'm done with this one for now, so it's going in my water brush, or in my water bowl, bucket, whatever you want to call it. And then I am now going to take my brush again, my big flat brush. Now, keep in mind it's got blue in it, but that's okay because like I said, I'm doing mostly nothing but blue, black, and white on this painting. And I want my ocean color of my water to be very deep blue because this is almost like a night scene, so I want it to be really blue. Kind of pulled out some of that excess water because you definitely don't want it dripping. You just want it nice and damp. I'm going to grab that blue. See, I have blue on my brush. I'm just going to grab a little bit in the corner of white. So I have blue and white. Mostly blue on one side, just a little bit of white there. And now we are going to just kind of blend it out on the canvas. You can always add a little bit more water if it isn't spreading very well. And I want a solid line across the top. And I'm just going to keep picking up paint the same exact way. Little tiny bit of white, more blue, doesn't really matter. There's no right way or wrong way to do this, guys. None at all. You just kind of blend it out on your canvas, back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I try to work just a little bit quicker. Of course, you can take more time. If you're painting with me, wonderful. If you need me to slow down, just let me know. I can definitely do that. But usually, for the most part, the people who follow me and follow my paintings, they watch it and then they come back and just do the replay. So if you're catching the replay, hashtag replay, I would love to see who's being creative and what you're doing. Again, I want to move kind of quick because I don't want this paint to dry too terribly fast because, again, I'm going to blend it out a little bit. So just throwing some of that deep blue on there. And I want this significantly darker and different shades than what's up top. And this is just working on the background. Everything is done in layers with acrylics, which is why I love acrylics so much. It's so fun to see something come together so quickly, but if you make a mistake, all you have to do is let it dry, paint over it. It's okay. Now, if we were working with oils or watercolors, that would be a whole lot harder to do. Again, I paint the sides, give it that wrapped gallery look, and I'm just kind of going over everything, trying not to let it dry too fast. Acrylics do dry faster. If you're using true oil paints, they can take up to 6 months to dry. 6 months. And I do have several oil paintings, and they're ones that you usually will never see me work on live because it takes a long time. People get really bored really quick. Plus, so much thought process and time goes into those that I just don't usually, I can't talk you through it like I can with an acrylic. I'm going to take that mop brush. Now that mop brush has been soaked in my water, so I want to dry it really, really well. I'm taking those paper towels and I'm just kind of scooping them together, scooping the bristles into the paper towels. And it's okay if that blue's in there because I'm just blending it out. And dry that brush a little bit. Doesn't have to be terribly dry, like super dry, but you want it decently dry. So, there we go. That might be okay. Maybe a little bit more. And now we're just going to kind of, I want this really soft blended look for my painting. Some people would have been happy just where it was. This is just the vision that I have, and it might not work out. When it's all said and done, I might scrap the whole thing and start over. You never know. But I'm just going to kind of blend it out the same way, just kind of nice little swirls and swoops. There we go. Now, in my head, I have a vision, and I actually saw something really similar done somewhere else. I don't know who had done it, but I really liked the idea. So I'm kind of changing. I kind of took that idea and rolled with it. It'll be a little, obviously, very different, but I mean, it was my inspiration. It's in my head. But I'm working a lot in beach stuff because, you know, spring is around the corner, but we're coming out of that cold snap here in Texas, and all I want to do is hit the beach. I mean, let's face it, that's the best place to be, right? So there we are. That is our background. How cool is that? That doesn't take too terribly much. However, I want to kind of really make my focal point kind of towards the center. So I want to darken up kind of a little bit on the outside. In order to do that, I'm just going to grab a little bit of black and a little bit of blue. Again, kind of drying out this brush, this mop brush. Sorry guys, losing my words. Just tiny bit of black. And basically I picked it up and then I'm just going to kind of wipe off the excess on my plate because I really don't want much at all. I just want a little bit. And I'm just going to kind of come in and blend some of that darker color in there. I want it to kind of have like this idea that the focus is in the center, and to do that you got to put some darker colors kind of on the outside. But I don't want it to be aggressive, so I'm just kind of going around just a little bit, especially down here where it's going to be really deep water, and add some of that dark color. There we go. And it's okay if it has like some bristles from being damp and wet and some different change in texture, because truthfully I'm going to have something coming up out of the water like a big octopus or something maybe. And this kind of looks like it's supposed to be like that. So this is exactly what I was going for. Let me know what you think. Feel free to comment at any point in time. I would love to see what your thoughts are. So this is still, you know, kind of wet. Normally we would probably let this dry. There's a lot of things you can do. It doesn't take long, 20 minutes maybe. If I'm teaching a class, I often just say, hey, it's break time. For those who want a break, go take a break. For me, I'm going to kind of work through it even though it's a little damp. But if I were you and you're not, you know, a big painter and you don't work with paint a lot, you might want to let it dry all the way. I could take a blow dryer or a heat gun. Hey, maybe that's what I'll do. I'll grab the heat gun just so that we can work right. Bear with me, I'm coming right back. And plug this baby in quick. There we go. I got my handy dandy Magnolia Design Company heat gun. And I'm just gonna blow it a little bit and get it nice and dry. Doesn't have to be super dry, but a little tacky. You don't want to touch it and have your fingers come up with a lot of paint on it. Working on the background. See how simple that is? We're just letting it dry, not too much, just a little bit. And it's probably pretty darn close, at least close enough for me. So I want to, before I go adding really any of my foreground, I want to put some sky in there. Some parts of the sky. I want some stars, maybe a little bit of moon or whatever. Stars are the one thing that we really have to like focus on right now, because it kind of makes a mess and I don't want that to overflow into the water portion of my painting. So if you are painting with acrylics, to clean your brush, you take your brush, it doesn't matter how dark your water is, brush it back and forth across the bottom, moving your bristles back and forth, getting those big chunks of paint out. Just back and forth, and then when it comes up, just dry it really good with your paper towels. A dry brush, even if your bristles are different colors, your paint will not transfer. But your brush has to be dry in order for that to happen. So take your time, use some paper towels, and dry that brush really well. Okay, so now that I've cleaned it, I want to make sure my bristles aren't hard and messy because we are going to flick some white paint. So when I say flick some white paint, we're really going to flick some white paint. I'm just going to give it some stars in the sky. A little bit on top of the water is okay. Just because, you know, stars on the water, right? There's no such thing as a mistake in art. It is creation. It is your mind thinking and doing its own thing. So have at it. I don't know if you can see that or not. I'm not sure how visual that is, but see, pretty cool. I have a couple big chunks in there that I'm not too thrilled with, but I'm going to leave them anyways and just let them dry. In the meantime, I am going to take that little square brush that I showed you, the smaller one, the medium one, not the super small one, but the medium one. I'm going to damp it just a little bit. I just want it damp. I don't want it soaking. And then I'm going to grab some black. And I want like octopus arms coming up. So I'm just going to kind of have some fun with it. And if you notice, I'm going on the side. I'm not going flat like this, although you can. If you do go flat, because that octopus has got like curves in its tentacles, or I don't know what those things are called. You want to be very careful that you twist it as you come up. This particular brush is wanting to not do what I normally would like to do with it. I've probably used it too many times. But I just kind of lay it flat, then twist it as I come up and pull away. See how that works? Now the next one, I'm going to kind of intertwine. There's no right way or wrong way. Just kind of move it around. Maybe this one isn't as big. Like that. There we go. Then we need obviously a few more, so we're just going to grab some more. Maybe we'll kind of come around this way. That one might go the same way. No right way or wrong way. Have fun with it. Like I said, it's just kind of an idea. By the time I'm done, I might absolutely hate it. You never know. I actually think I'm going to take this one and kind of go like that with it. Swirl it a little more. Now when you get to these end points, if they're kind of blunt and you're having a hard time with it, just put this big brush down and clean that tip up with your small baby brush. I haven't quite decided where I'm at comfortably and how thick I'm making these, but I know it's got to be thicker on the bottom, right? There we go. Okay, there's a couple there, and they're just kind of like snakes or worms that are just kind of working their way into things. And I think I'm going to kind of come around like this. And you can go so many different directions with this. I mean, you could do something completely different. You can make it all nothing but coral, or you can make it like the Loch Ness Monster down there. I mean, there's so many different things. The ocean is so cool. It's like my favorite thing on earth. I'm doing a lot of beach themed projects this week. Some that are going to go in that could go in your garden. Some could go, you know, wherever. Kind of go this way. Just have fun with it. That's what it's all about. Paint and have fun. Relax your mind. Kind of helps soothes the soul if you're having a bad day. There we go. I don't like how thick that one is, so I will probably take my little brush and clean that up at the tip, but we'll do that in a minute. Let's get these big pieces kind of taken care of. I think I want just one more to kind of, whoop. Kind of like that. All right. So now if I want to clean it up, like I said, there's a couple points on here that I'm not too happy with because this brush is just, it keeps widening out. I've used it a lot. I've got so many brushes. It was just the first one I grabbed that met what I wanted to do with it. So I'm going to grab one of these smaller brushes, baby brush like this, dip it in some water. Okay, maybe. Hi, Bobby. We need a beach trip, don't we? We definitely do. I'm ready. I'm ready if you're ready. Galveston is calling my name. I'm just going to very gently kind of clean up that tip. I don't have any real plans for this, guys. This is just kind of just playing as I go along. We'll see what happens. I can't tell you how many of my paintings have ended up in the trash. But like I said, I used to teach this. This is acrylic painting is what I teach. I used to go to bars and restaurants and hold classes like you've seen, like paint night, paint and twist type stuff. I've taught children. I used to have kids classes at my studio. This is my favorite thing to do. So it's actually really, really hard for me to not do just painting. I try to keep my lives a little bit more, you know, different, not keep them all the same. So we're just doing some fun little squigglies, making it look pretty or scary. I'm really not quite sure which direction this is going. Okay, then I kind of need to let that part dry just a little bit because I'm going to add some details with some whites and some fun stuff. Kind of looks like the monster coming out of the water, right? Which brings me to the next part. I'm going to put a ship right up top, okay? So I'm going to tell you, ships can be easy and they can be hard. And I want this to be a small ship. I don't want it to be real big. Little Mermaid, Ursula, yes, 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 yes. Perfect. Okay, so with the ship, I want it sitting on top of the water. So I'm going to kind of put it like right there. Just a little line following the sea line there. And I'm just going to put a little angled line on that end. And then this angled line isn't as angled. It's a little angled, but not as angled. And then I'm just going to kind of curve underneath the bottom curve like that. See that shape there? You could also just make a rectangle and then add triangles on the outside if you're going to struggle with how you put that together. Okay. And then just fill it in with black. Like I said, it's a night scene. Everything's dark. Everything's dark and dreary. Okay. Now you have to put in the sails, and typically a ship has lots of sails, but the middle one is a lot taller, okay? And then you're going to have another sail, maybe right here, and then maybe just a small one down there, and then maybe another one towards the back. Like I said, there's no right way or wrong way, and if they're thicker, they're thicker. Obviously, I made a thicker one. It's because my brush has got so much paint on it and I haven't cleaned it out. So if you find your lines are getting thick, clean your brush out. Pull your bristles together like this and make sure that they're nice and straight and clean. Okay? All right. So now we need to actually put the sails on there. We're going to maybe go... Let's see, I'm going to put one right here, and I'm just going to do like a little square. Fill it in. And then maybe a rectangle underneath. And I've got that big white clump there from where I flung stars up. It's okay. It'll be part of my design. Okay. Another rectangle. And then maybe at the top, you might want like a little bit, another little something up there. If I don't like how small they are or how big they are, it's easier to go small to big than it is to try to go big to small. So keep that in mind. And we're just going to put little sails on every one of these. They don't have to be perfect. It's kind of like a silhouette. It's at night. I might want this one to kind of be like a triangle like that way. And then we might go, ooh, another little one up there. Okay. And then I'm going to put like triangle here. Oh, I picked up some white. It's okay. Clean my brush again. Straighten my bristles. Okay, and I got to start adding very light little lines, maybe for some rope, because there's a lot of ropes on ships. And it doesn't have to be super detailed, but you do want it to have a little bit of realism to it, even though it's very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very fantasy-like. You want some rope there, okay? Doesn't have to be perfect, but put a few in there. See, it's coming out pretty nice, huh? I'm going to try to pull some of that white up. I'm just using the back of my brush to pull some of it up. Okay. And if you see some, you know, as it dries, it might not be dark enough. Add a little more blue if you want to, a little more black, whatever it is you want to do. And we are just kind of waiting on those tentacles, or whatever you call it, to dry before I add the details on that. Now I'm going to kind of curve out that front. I want it to be like one of those old-fashioned ships. And you kind of look at it and decide, you know, is this how I want it? Is this what I think? What do you think of that so far, guys? Not bad, huh? It's coming. Can you see it good? I don't even know. All right. Now, we're still waiting on that black to dry, so I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of a moon in the sky while we wait. I need that black to dry. It doesn't have to be super perfect or super dry, but I do want it drier than it is, because you can look at it and you can see the sheer, and if I were to touch it, my fingers are going to come up with a little bit of black on them, so I know it's not quite ready. It's almost, though. We don't have too terribly much further to go. So I'm just going to take white. Like I said, most of this painting is blue and white and black. And if you're going to do a moon, you just want to kind of figure out where you want to put it. I tend to put a lot of things on the right hand side, and I'm just going to kind of do a half moon. It doesn't even have to be a big one, just like that. I mean, you could even make it like a little bit more curved and maybe put, like, what is it, the man in the moon in there. Would that be cool? Now keep in mind, people who sailed the ocean use the stars and the nauticalness to find their way. That's stars, sun, you know, all that stuff. So that's why I really wanted to incorporate the moon in there. Bobby suggested the Little Dipper. That's a good idea. Maybe I could. Should we do that? We could do that. Put it like maybe over here, or you think over there? I don't know. I kind of like the unevenness. I might even put it over there. Right there. So I'm going to cheat with this one. Stars are a little bit easy, but because I need them so little, I don't want to worry about the tip. So all I'm going to do is dip the back end of my brush, not the bristle side, the back end of my brush. And I'm just going to put a couple little dipper stars in there. There's one there, one there. Could be, try to not to make them too big. I can't even remember how many there are, but we're just going to kind of give it the idea that they're there. Somebody who's really looking could see it. Maybe I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe that wasn't such a good idea with me trying to remember where the little dipper goes and how it looks. But we'll just kind of leave it like that. But then I still want to add more. So I'm still going to use the back end of that brush and just barely touch my canvas every now and then. Lots of stars. I've got some of the shooting ones from when I flicked the paint, but now I want even more. Stars on the water, guys. And this is super easy trick. I mean, this is just super nice. Now, if you wanted to do a shooting star, let's just say we're going to do a shooting star. I'll show you quick. You can take the back end of your brush, make sure your front end is clean and ready. Pull your tips together like this. Back end of your brush, put a good chunk of paint down there like that, and then take your bristle, and the trick is to push down and pull up really fast. Push down, pull up really fast. See that? Looks like a falling star. Now, I did it really thick so that you could see it. See that? But if I want to do another one, maybe not as thick, just a little bit of paint. Oh, I got thick again. And then push down, pull up. Push down, pull up. That one actually became bigger, and I said I didn't want to do such a big one. We could maybe have another one coming in the water over here, a little bit further out. Make it look like it's dive bombing. That's what I love about painting. You can just have all these ideas and just play with them. I think I want to make my moon a little bigger. I don't know what you guys think, but I just want it bigger. Maybe because my stars got big. There we go. Perfect. All right. I don't know what you guys are doing tonight. If you're like me, you're sitting here going, I shouldn't be painting. I should be sleeping. I've got to work in the morning. See? Look at our sky coming around our ship. Pretty cool, huh? Not too bad. Not too bad at all. So now we're just going to add a little bit of highlights and stuff down here in the water. If you look, I mean, it already, the water being such a different shades of color and everything, it already looks pretty good. Like, we don't need to do too terribly much. We are going to put some dots maybe. You know, it's funny, but I'm just sitting here going, I don't even really know what tentacles look like on an octopus or a sea monster. So because I'm not really sure if it's an octopus or a sea monster or what it is, I'm just going to kind of have fun with it. I'm just going to put some dots going along it. Again, using the back of the brush, which I probably have too much paint on there, so let me clean it up. I'm just going to kind of go, ooh, boop, boop. And as it gets, like, turns in the tentacles or whatever, or gets smaller, you want to have even smaller dots. Clean up the very tip of your smallest brush that you have, and this is one of those you just kiss the canvas with. You barely touch it. Just boop. And you just want to have little tiny dots on that side. Maybe this one we need a few. We can do bigger ones. We can do smaller ones. All right, still going. I'm still going, guys. Oh man, that's way too much paint on there. I would have really regret that. This premium paint from Arteza, which they actually send me stuff every now and then, so I have a tendency to really use their products. I like them for sure, but this premium is very thick paint. And usually when I teach people how to paint, I try to use a thinner paint that's not so aggressive, because it's harder to control when it's aggressive like that. So I apologize, maybe I should have pulled out some other paint, but you never know. There we go, just a few. Maybe some on this guy too. We want some coming up here. And you could spend a lot of time on this, but because I am live and I know you probably get bored watching me do nothing but dots for hours, I'm just going to kind of rush through it. But if you decide to do this at home or on your own time, take your time, make it look pretty however you want it to look. Would this be cute like in a kid's room? You know, part of being a real estate agent is that I always see some super cute like decorated homes, and being an artist, I really appreciate stuff like that. So this is the kind of thing that I would be like, oh, we need to get this in your kid's room before we show your house. How cool would that be? You could buy Hobby Lobby sells, even Michael's I think sells frames for paintings, you know, so even if you wanted to, you could put it in a frame, but you don't have to. If you wrap the sides, which I didn't quite finish the sides, I'll do it later, but if you paint like on the sides of it, it gives it that gallery wrapped look. So you don't need to frame it if you don't want to. I want some thicker ones down here. It's the little details that make a painting. So when you're doing acrylics, you do the back and it's very bland and very plain and there isn't much to it. And then you kind of work up to the medium details, like, you know, the shape of our tentacles and the shape of our ship. And it's the little details that really will bring your painting to life. The little things. Okay, so we've got, I think I want just a couple more up in the here, but hold on. I've got to get a little more paint on the tip of my brush. There we go. Looking good, guys, looking good. Now, I kind of want to add just some, maybe some lines down the tentacles to make them look a little bit more realistic, but I don't want it super stark white. So I'm going to do gray. I'm just going to take a lot of white, tad bit of black to give it a lighter gray. I don't want it as harsh as the straight white. And all I'm going to do is kind of pick a few spots where the curves are, give it some highlights. My canvas isn't exactly flat apparently because it is making noise every time I touch it. Kind of show movement, like when something's moving and it's 3D, you can always see shades of different things coming through. So to make it somewhat realistic, even though it's very fantasy, we're just going to add a couple little highlighted. And with a little brush, it doesn't hold paint for long. So you don't put much paint on. This is like a dry brush technique almost, a very thin line where you're barely touching the canvas. There isn't hardly any dampness to it. It's very, very light touches. So sometimes you will run out of paint pretty quick. Don't panic. It's okay. Just add more. Take your time. Maybe put a little bit more up in here. See? Look how cute that is. So cute. All right, maybe just a little bit up underneath the water here, a few little white lines. And now you can decide, you know, do I want to do anything different? Do I want to change it out a little bit? Do I want to, I mean, to me, this tells a story. So basically we have this ship going across the water and doesn't realize that there's like this crazy monster underneath. I just love it. What I'm not liking about it, just looking at it first glance, is how harsh that line is right there where the boat meets the water. I feel like it's just, the boat looks like it's just sitting in the air. So I'm going to darken it up right there where it's touching the water, just to make it, I say realistic, and we know that there is no realism to this whatsoever, but that's just kind of, yes, I have a tendency to pick up my canvas when I'm working. I do have an easel where I can tie all this down, but truthfully, I will pick up my canvas and paint just like this all the time. So we're going to pick up some of that blue, and even here on the sides, if you notice, I kind of went high on the sides. I'm going to brush some of that in too. And then just kind of blend it out, back and forth over it to make it look a little bit more blended in. And it's okay if you pick up different colors. If you notice, I've got just a little bit of gray kind of still floating in there. That's okay. It's fine. It makes it look real. I'm also noticing that I might want a little bit more darker blue on the sides here too. So I'm going to actually grab my medium brush that we use for the black tentacles. I told you I wasn't entirely happy with, but I'm going to grab it anyways. I'm going to dry it out because it was wet, right? Dry out my brush. And then I'm going to pick up some of that dark blue, and I'm just going to kind of do the same thing over here. Just kind of darken it up. And don't be afraid to really, get your fingers in there. Make it blend out. Here we go. I might even go some of this black down here. It'll blend in with that black and be even darker. Changing the focus. The focus is, now it was kind of widespread. Now by going darker on the outsides, it's kind of blending and making it look like this is the focus of the painting. Okay? And this is just a last minute stuff that you can do. I mean, you don't have to. If you were happy with it the way it is, to each their own. Whatever you want to do. I'm just kind of a perfectionist and have these ideas in my head. I have a tendency to overpaint, if that makes any sense. Like I get so wrapped up in the little stuff that I forget that it was fine just the way it is. Walk away. Know when to put the brush down. It was one of the first lessons my art teacher ever taught me. Know when to put the brush down. Haven't mastered that after all these years. So, the stars at night are big and bright. Yes, they are. Deep in the heart of Texas. See, you got me singing, Bobby. There we go. There we go. Okay, we're getting there. Okay, and I almost, the more I look at it, the more I want some darker blue up here in the outskirts too. Doesn't have to be aggressive, so I'm going to kind of dry brush it. And by dry brush, I mean taking very little bit of paint on my brush. That's dry. And if you grab your paint, so for example, we grab our paint like this, and you think you have too much and you want a dry brush, just wipe it off. Wipe it off on the side. Acrylics will come out of ceramic and plastics and stuff like that, so don't worry about ruining your house, your good dishes or nothing like that. All of this is cleanable. Acrylics will, the premium stuff might not, but any basic acrylic will also come out of your clothing. Little Dawn dish soap and maybe some water, some lukewarm water, kind of rub it together before you wash it, and you should be good. So if you happen to be painting and you get it all over yourself, don't worry, it'll be okay. I'm kind of going to blend some of this. I got a little carried away there. That happens. Like I said, I don't know when to put the brush down. I'm the first person to admit it. Just kind of adding some roughness and some change in the sky, kind of bring the focus to the center of the painting. Couple rules about art. Nothing is ever supposed to be even. Now, unless it is a very symmetrical type thing, such as even when you're decorating, things are supposed to be uneven, unless you want, like, so you see people with paintings on the wall, or you see some with pictures on the wall. You want 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't want 4, you want 5. They could be straight across, totally lined up, but make sure you have 3 or 5. Don't have 2 or 4. It's something that you don't even realize that your eyes notice. You just don't even know. Same thing with art. This is probably the first time I've ever put like a boat or anything in the center of a painting. And it's technically not in the center, it's up, but it's still this way centered. And I'm kind of struggling with doing it, but I knew that's what I wanted to do. So it is what it is. I'm gonna kind of blend this line just a little bit. Y'all, we're about finished. I don't even know how long I was live, but pretty easy painting, huh? I am going to, this week, be doing another nautical craft. I have some clients that are closing on their house, and they are coming all the way from California, and they are so excited to live in Texas that I am actually making them some stuff for their home decor, along with, you know, maybe a gift card or something. I'm going to show you how to do that sometime this week. I have some plans, y'all, so I hope you can join me. Of course, I have no plans as to when, because when the inspiration hits, that's when I work. That's when I work the best. So I just noticed I got some solid lines that I don't like. Like I said, I got to learn when to put that brush down. We're going to just maybe a couple, follow some of those lines around. There we go. And really and truly, y'all, that's all it takes. Look at that. How cute, huh? Wouldn't that be cute in a kid's room? Little boy's room, little pirate. I don't know. Just an idea. I thank y'all for joining me. I hope you learned something today. If nothing else, you know, at least you had fun. If, you know, keep up with me. I'm still working on a watercolor painting that I started last week. If you've been following me on that, I'm going to try to finish that up this week sometime. Like I said, I have a lot of different projects planned. Possibly tomorrow doing a little bit of an Easter project, taking a break from some of the, you know, sea stuff. So thank you so much for joining me. Make sure you like and, you know, glitter it, or whatever it is that they say. They say, everybody says sprinkle. I just have a problem with that word. So I don't know why. I say glitter. So glitter it. You know, let me know what you think. #replay if you're catching the replay. Thank y'all. Have a great night.